Alright, boys. The bitch is back. But I'm not a bitch. I'm a man. I'm a fucking idiot. Alright. So, the last few days have been really shit. Thank you for your wonderful comments of unity. I believe if people want unity, they come to me, right? Alright, let's go.
He once said to, I believe it was Matthew Modine on Full Metal Jacket, after a certain take, and Matthew said, "Ooh, that felt good, that felt real." And Stanley said, "Real is good, interesting is better."
Yep.
And that's the way he worked. I mean, there's nothing real about any of those movies that he made, but they're hypnotic. To me, they are, anyway. There's a kind of focus and concentration in every frame of a Kubrick film that I think grabs you in a certain way. You may not even like it. I can't say that I liked Clockwork Orange. I was uncomfortable the whole time I was watching it, but it was hypnotic, terrifically hypnotic.
Fiction drew you.
I think it's entirely possible that ESP has been proven to exist, and that even other forms of the occult and psychokinetic experiments and reports are true. But I wish somebody would prove it a little more conclusively.
Mm-hmm.
And this is extremely interesting. I would somewhat agree. From my own mental health experience, it's very easy to dismiss it as, crazy or whatever, but I think it's entirely possible. It's just not possible to test, even so Kubrick goes on to say it's not possible to test in a laboratory setting the way they typically try and do it. And the behavior from pets, there's almost a telepathic communication when, they want to go for a walk or they want to be fed their food.
But it's also possible that it's the kind of thing which cannot be tested in the way that they
exactly. Yeah.
I've certainly seen behavior in dogs and cats. Seen fairly conclusive proof that there is a non-verbal form of mental communication. I have a cat who hates to have her combed. And, this has happened, I should think, a dozen times. I've only to sort of touch her and think about it, not even move, and she'll suddenly just dive under the bed and hide. Before I even move, now I touch her all the time, she often has knots. Now, I think to myself, well, maybe I'm doing something, I'm moving. I think that in some way, she can tell that I'm thinking. Telephone.
Yeah, apologies for the audio too. This is from a very rare French interview with Kubrick around the release of The Shining.
Stanley didn't change much. His acceptance speech about Icarus at the Directors Guild, nothing could be more perfect. The myth of Icarus, and flying too high for success, he says, and people always took that as a moral tale about hubris. And he said, let's make better wings. It's so perfectly Stanley.
I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight to receive this great honor of the D.W. Griffith Award. But I'm in London making Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And just about this time, I'm probably in the car on the way to the studio.
Otherwise known as the Jeffrey Epstein documentary film.
Which, as it happens, reminds me of a conversation I had with Steven Spielberg about what was the most difficult and challenging thing about directing a film. And I believe Steven summed it up about as profoundly as you can. He thought the most difficult and challenging thing about directing a film was getting out of the car. I'm sure you all know the feeling.
Because doing anything is fucking shit. So, I didn't want to do this today, but I love Stanley Kubrick and he's my favorite filmmaker, so I have to do this.
But at the same
Because more
time,
people need to know
anyone
about it.
who has ever been privileged to direct a film also knows that although it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car in an amusement park,
I need to read that.
when you finally get it right, there are not many joys in life that can equal the feeling.
I'm reading, sorry to keep interrupting the great man, but I'm reading Moby Dick by Herman Melville. And this is a really beautiful novel. Came in a really nice gold sort of pages here. And yeah, I'd highly recommend this book. I'm only about 100 pages in, but boy, is it a read. It's if you have to look up in the dictionary every 2 seconds, but you know, what a novel.
I think there's an intriguing irony in naming the Lifetime Achievement Award after D.W. Griffith, because his career was both an inspiration and a cautionary tale.
And with D.W. Griffith, I think he made Birth of a Nation. So he started off as, he was one of the all-time greats and still is, but he was sort of cast out as a pariah from Hollywood for making The Birth of a Nation, or some of his viewpoints, or the viewpoint of that film took. And it was in 1915. I mean, we're going back a long way here. But
His best films will always rank among the most important films ever made, and some of them made him a great deal of money. He was instrumental in transforming movies from a Nickelodeon novelty to an art form, and he originated and formalized much of the syntax of movie making, now taken for granted. He became an international celebrity, and his patronage included many of the world's leading artists and statesmen of the time. But Griffith was always ready to take tremendous risks in his films and in his business affairs. He was always ready to fly too high. And in the end, the wings of fortune proved for him, like those of Icarus, to be made of nothing more substantial than wax and feathers. And like Icarus, when he flew too close to the sun, they melted. And the man whose fame exceeded the most illustrious filmmakers of today spent the last 17 years of his life shunned by the film industry he had created.
so the man literally created the film industry and spent it as an outcast and pariah. And, you know, it could very well be true, you know, don't try and fly too high, but for a variety of reasons, your own selfish hubris, your own ego will, you know, cripple you, and you'll fall and crash and burn spectacularly. I can honestly attest to this because I have issues with my mental health, and I'll probably go into them in another video, but it involves major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and ADHD. But I think it's interesting whether those were the cause or they were the after effects, but of, you know, some stupid shit I've written on social media over the years. But anyway.
I've compared Griffith's career to the Icarus myth, but at the same time, I've never been certain whether the moral of the Icarus story should only be, as is generally accepted, don't try to fly too high, or whether it might also be thought of as forget the wax and feathers and do a better job on the wings. One thing, however, is certain. D.W. Griffith left us with an inspiring and intriguing legacy.
Could easily be both equally valid, and that's why Stanley Kubrick is my favorite filmmaker and is a genius and really saw things around the corner, such as with AI and robotics. I haven't watched Artificial Intelligence because I consider that a Spielberg film and not a Kubrick film, but apparently it's pretty average, unfortunately. But anyway.
One thing, however, is certain. D.W. Griffith left us with an inspiring and intriguing legacy, and the award in his name is one of the greatest honors a film director can receive, something for which I humbly thank all of you very much.